Hello, my name's Chip, and I'm a product manager here at Garmin. Today we're going to be talking about the latest in Garmin's line of GPS handheld navigators, the GPSMAP H1 and the H1i Plus. We'll be talking about the hardware features of these two devices, as well as how they fit into the Garmin ecosystem, which includes our Garmin Messenger app for messaging, location sharing, and SOS, as well as the Garmin Explore App, which can be used for mapping and navigation. We'll spend some time talking about the mapping options for these devices, which include our Outdoor Maps Plus subscription, as well as the new Garmin Trails layer, which can be added to both devices as well. We have a lot to cover, so let's get started. When you open your GPSMAP H1 box, you'll find inside a GPSMAP H1, a webbing loop to hold your carabiner, a Garmin carabiner, which clips right here on the back, and a USB-C cable for charging and for data transfer. After you finish the setup wizard, you'll have a chance to look at the hardware interface for the device. We have buttons at the bottom below the touchscreen. We have the plus and minus buttons. Those are used for zooming in and out on the map or for moving through when you're doing text entry. We have Find for searching. We have a page button to move through the activities, Mark for creating waypoints, Menu, a Quit and Enter button, as well as a directional pad. On the side of the device, we have the new Action button, which is configurable. We'll look at that in a minute. We have an SD card slot behind the door here, safety protective door. On the GPSMAP H1i Plus, we have an SOS button that is also hidden behind a protective door. And we have our USB cover here for charging and for data transfer. On the back of the device, we have the Spine Mount 2 for mounting your GPS map. We also have the torch flashlight and the rear-facing camera, as well as the front-facing camera for selfies. Now we'd like to take a minute to look at how to navigate through the pages with the touchscreen. We have the ability to swipe through the pages, left and right. We also have the ability to swipe up and down from the touchscreen to expose additional features. If I swipe down from the top, it brings up settings like my backlight brightness, my sound to mute the sounds. It also has the ability to do things like turn on the camera. When I want to close that, I just swipe up from the bottom. When I have opened a few of my pages, it also will expose the ability to swipe up from the bottom and see each of those pages so that I can jump quickly to the one that I want to see. If I want to jump quickly to the altimeter, or maybe jump back to the map page. So I can do that from swiping up, a lot like what you see on a lot of the cell phones these days. I can also, from this page, close an activity if I want to by swiping up to close. These are some of the neat features that we've worked really hard with the GPSMAP H1 and H1i Plus. Tap away from that page if you want to go back and dismiss that view. From the home screen, we can also edit our glances. We do this by tapping and holding, and then I can choose from my menu. I can edit the glance, I can edit the home screen. I can also see some tips on how to use those pages. When I choose to edit the home screen, it shows me, again, how to swipe left and right. I'm going to close this because we've already looked at it. But I can swipe to see some additional pages. These are the three we've already looked at, but there's also the ability to add a page. And when I choose to add the page, all I do is select it and add it in. And so a few of the additional pages are things like this page about our sensors. We have our altimeter, the barometer, and our compass. I can add that page to my rotation. I can also add this navigation page, which is nice. It has a map and my compass and my distance to my destination and the estimated time. I can also go and create a custom page. When you get a little more experience with the device, this is a nice spot where you can come in and actually pick which of the glances you want to appear in the different areas. I could put my compass at the top of the page. I can also add in other pages like maybe I want to put in my sky view and I can see my satellites. And so you can configure these pages and really make the device custom to what your activity is and what your preferences are. When you finish customizing, you can save it, or in my case, I'm going to close out here. But that will add pages to your page view, and then you'll have them accessible for swiping left and right. Now that we've looked at how the glances work and have the ability to swipe left and right to move through those, let's also look at this button down here in the corner, which exposes a legacy view with a nice grid of all of the apps that are on the device. So we see here the map manager, we see the altimeter, I have a compass app. I can swipe through these pages to see all the apps that are on the device. I see satellites, I see flashlight, I'd be able to create a waypoint. 3 pages. So we know that when we created this interface and we had our glances view, which is a lot more like what our smartphones have now, with the ability to focus in on just the pages we want for our adventure, we wanted to make sure that there was still that legacy view for people who preferred more of the traditional GPS map interface. So just keep in mind that little button down in the corner that is a toggle between an app view and a glances view. Let's take a look at how to start an activity. We can go down to the Start Activity button at the bottom of the screen, and we can tap on that. One of the features that we're excited about with the GPSMAP H1 and H1i Plus is this ability to go to one location and set up everything that we need when we want to start an adventure. The first part of that is choosing what type of activity. I can tap this large button at the top, and I can choose from a list of activities. Maybe I'm going for a hike, I might be going mountain biking, or maybe I'm going cross-country skiing. I can also view a larger list and edit what activities are there. Here are the existing activities in my list, or I can go to Add Activity and choose from a really nice list of all the activities that Garmin supports. Say I want to add fishing or gravel bike riding or horseback riding to my list. I can do that here by just tapping on those and adding them to my list of activities. Once I've chosen the activity, I can also set some other features, like I can choose to start navigating. I can pick the course that I want to follow, or with the device I can start and stop tracking. With my InReach device, I can send those messages to LiveTrack. I can even choose to send a check-in message to friends and family. So I'll set this up with my Start Activity so that each time that I come in, all I have to do is go to that Start Activity option, and everything will be configured for me already because I set it up previously. Once I've made my settings, I press Start Activity, and you can see the counter starts at the bottom, and now I know that I am recording an activity when I go on my adventure. At this point, I'm going to switch over from the out-of-box GPSMAP H1i Plus and start using my own personal GPSMAP H1i Plus, because I have a lot of cool data already on this device, and I'd like to show you some of that. We go into the Save tab, and we can see here all of the user data on my device. I can view all of the waypoints, courses, and activities, or if I wanted to filter that list, I can choose just the waypoints or the courses or my activities. When we look at the courses, we can see here, let's look at the Beehive Loop. That was a fun hike in Acadia National Park that I went on with my family. And when we look at the map, we see the topographic map. That has really nice contours and shaded relief, and the course and the direction that we've followed around that loop. Or using the map manager on the GPSMAP H1i Plus, I can download Outdoor Maps Plus layers, and some of my favorite layers there include satellite imagery. So let's take a look at the satellite map. And I have hybrid map turned on, which means that my course and contours and points will sit on top of that satellite image. We can go back and look at how that looks. And you see a nice view of satellite imagery, and that shows me where there are trees or where there's exposed rock and that sort of thing. And I'll tell you that the Beehive Trail in Acadia is a pretty rocky area. There are lots of different map layers that you can choose in the Outdoor Maps Plus subscription. So a little bit about the map there. And then if I go back to my Saved tab, we can also see that I can view collections. And this is an organizational tool inside the GPSMAP H1 and GPSMAP H1i Plus that allows me to group my user data. So all of my waypoints and my courses are in a collection, and you can see here my Acadia hike. You can also see a hike that I did in Maine on Tumbledown Mountain. And then I can toggle these on and off if I only want to see the Acadia hike on my map or in my saved app, then I can control that as well. And when we go back, you see my list is updated for that. So some really nice filtering and management tools to help you organize all of the data that you can create with your GPSMAP H1 and H1i Plus. Now let me show you a couple more apps that are new on the GPSMAP H1 and H1i Plus. We'll start with the flashlight app. This app allows you to control the intensity of your flashlight. Here's at full power, and I can reduce that down if I want a little less brightness. Another new app that's pretty exciting is the Siren app. Imagine that you're out on the trail and for some reason you need to alert people to your location, but you may not want to call out the whole time. You can turn on the siren. Now this will be loud, but we'll let it play for a second. So that's pretty loud, but that will let people know where you are if you are off trail and you want them to find your location. Let's go into the camera app now. When I open the camera app, I see my rear-facing camera, and you see here a little bit of our studio. Or I can press this button here to turn on the front-facing camera, or the selfie cam. And there's a picture of myself, nice. The button in the middle allows me to take a photo, great. And the button over to the left is our photo gallery. I can open that up and we can see all the photos that I've taken on my adventures. So pretty excited to have that front-facing and rear-facing camera with our GPSMAP H1i Plus. Another feature that we wanted to look at is the Garmin Weather app. And you see here the Weather app. I'm going to tap on that. This requires a cellular connection or Wi-Fi with a GPSMAP H1, and the H1i Plus adds the ability to get a weather forecast over satellite. Now, the H1 and H1i Plus, when I have cellular and Wi-Fi, will give me this nice weather radar map. And if I only have satellite, then I still see conditions, my hourly forecast, as well as a daily forecast. So the weather feature with the GPSMAP H1 and H1i Plus are very helpful when you're planning and in the backcountry. We'll take a look at the settings menu and see what our options are. To get to settings, we go to our app view and we choose settings in the upper corner. Settings for the device include sound and vibration, display, brightness, connectivity, a lot of the standard settings. I'd like to look a little bit at the action button. This is that button on the side that gives us a shortcut to different controls. When we look at action buttons, I can configure 3 different actions. One is a tap, one is a hold, and one is a double tap. If I wanted to change the tap action, right now it's set to camera, but say I chose flashlight. Now that I've chosen flashlight, I can tap and it will turn on my flashlight. I can tap to turn off the flashlight. Other settings that might be of interest, you can control your data recording, and each app has its own set of settings to control the camera, to control your map and different things. So just remember, if you want to configure the settings on your GPSMAP H1 or H1i Plus, go to the app view and choose settings in the upper corner. Let's take a look at the apps that I use for planning, and there's 2 of those with Garmin. There's the Garmin Messenger app for messaging, location sharing, and SOS, and then also the Explore app for planning and navigating. We'll start with the Explore app. You can see here with the Explore app that I'm in the Save tab. Here we see a bunch of my user data, and it's organized in a way that's easy for me to see. We have nice maps to show us where the data is. So I see my activities at the top, and then I see the collections that we were looking at on the GPSMAP H1i Plus, and here's my Acadia hike. If I tap on the Acadia hike, you see all of the data that is in this collection, and that's my waypoints and my courses and my activity recordings. I can see the waypoints, Cadillac Mountain, and some other fun spots that we went to on our adventure. I can also view my courses and trails, and this is a new feature that is part of the Outdoor Maps Plus subscription, and that is Garmin Trails. And these are really fun because I can click on, say, the Beehive Loop, which is the hike that I did with my family, and I will get a nice photo of the view from the top of the Beehive climb, and I also get a description of the trail. You see, try out this 1.1 mile casual loop in Acadia National Park, and I can view reviews that other people have written about that hike. And it's really nice because it tells me, and it's true, the trail is fairly hard, but we were able to get to the top. After I have done my hike, I can come in and rate the trail with a little star rating and some other fun things. This is a nice way for people to contribute into that Garmin trail community and share their adventures so that others can take advantage of it. I want to also show that from the collection in my saved tab, I can go to the map and I can zoom in and see the detail of that hike, and I can use some of the other Outdoor Maps Plus layers to change the map that I'll use when I'm on my hike. And you can see here Garmin Trails and public lands, and there's a lot of really cool layers that are part of Outdoor Maps Plus, that subscription. And I'll just switch over to show satellite view because that's what we looked at on the H1. And here's the satellite data behind that Beehive hike. Now, if you'd prefer to create your own course, we can do that as well. I'm going to go back to the Topo Active data, and then down here in the bottom corner, you see this red plus symbol. That allows us to open up the Create Course wizard. I'm going to tap on that, and then I'm going to pan to find the trail that I might be interested in creating, and I can tap to create my start down at the trailhead. And then if I want to drop in a stop here at an overlook, I can do that, and I can continue on to the summit of the mountain. Now, the nice thing about the Course Creator wizard is that it automatically follows the roads and trails. I don't have to tap on every turn. From here, I can save that, and it'll come up, and I can give it a name if you'd like, and you can add it to the collection. And the nice thing here is we see our elevation graph appearing down here in the bottom and the collection that I've added it to. So a lot that we can do with the Course Creator tool when we are doing our planning with the Garmin Explore app. After I've created the course, I can go in and save this map for offline use. If I'm going to be traveling on the Beehive, there is no cell phone coverage there, so I want to save this map, and I do that with the same plus button down in the bottom corner. I tap on it and I choose to create an offline map, and then I can zoom to set the area that I want to save. So this covers all of my hike, and I can even come down here and I can choose which of those Outdoor Maps Plus layers I'd like to save. So I certainly want my Topo Active map, I want my satellite imagery map, and then I really like the USGS quad sheets. So I'll save those three. You can give it a custom name if you'd like. For right now, we're just going to save it. And you see here a little progress bar while that goes and saves my map for use and offline. And there I have my saved map. Now, if we look down at the bottom of our Garmin Explore app, we'll see a link to the Garmin Messenger app. I'm going to tap on the Messenger tab at the bottom, and it's going to automatically open up the Garmin Messenger app. Now, if you don't have the Garmin Messenger app installed, you can get that at your smartphone's app store. The Garmin Messenger app is for use with the GPSMAP H1i Plus and any of our other inReach devices. So I'll bring in my GPSMAP H1i Plus, and I just want to remind people that the inReach devices do require an active Garmin inReach subscription. So we can see here with my Messenger app all of the conversations that I've had with friends and family. And on my GPSMAP H1i Plus, if I swipe to the glances on the second page, I will see those same conversations in the top. I can tap on those conversations and I can see them here. I'd like to look at a couple of those conversations from my trip to Acadia National Park so we can see some of the cool features of the GPSMAP H1i Plus. Let's look at this conversation where I actually took a picture along the coast of Acadia National Park, and I was able to send that to some folks back in the office. And I did that using the rear-facing camera on the GPSMAP H1i Plus. And you can see here how that looked on the Messenger app when they received it, a nice picture there. I can also show an example where I sent a selfie using the front-facing camera on my GPSMAP H1i Plus. Here's a picture of the family just before a bike ride at the Jordan Pond House. And that's here, and I sent that to friends. I also was able to send a link because while I can use the GPSMAP H1 and H1i Plus to record my activity so that I can see where I'm going, I can also, with the H1i Plus, share that activity with my live track page so that friends and family that were not able to go on the bike ride could follow along. They can use that link to look at a map that shows my progress. You can see here another nice feature. The little heart emoji is a reaction that allows friends and family and the people using the Messenger app to put a little heart or a thumbs up or a smiley face on a message. And it's important to remember that reactions are free for any inReach user. You don't have to pay to send a reaction, so definitely give those thumbs up when you get the messages. And we see here a photo that was sent back to me from one of my friends, and I got to receive that photo on my GPSMAP H1i Plus. I could view it in the Messenger app, or I could view it on my H1i Plus. You really can use either device depending on the situation. If you want to keep your phone safe in your backpack, then certainly turn it off and put it away and do everything with your H1i Plus. And I did that here because at one point we went on the cliff trail, and that was a pretty exciting little stretch. You get very close to a big cliff that drops down to the water. So I took those pictures and I sent them just with my GPSMAP H1i Plus, and I received a nice message from a friend who had also done that hike and said that's a fun one. Another feature that I'd like to share with you is the ability to see the location where these photos or messages were sent from. I'm going to tap on the push pin next to this photo, and it's going to open the Explore app, and it's going to show the map location where that photo was sent. Now I'm going to set the phone aside, and we're going to look at some other features on the GPSMAP H1i Plus. So here we have that conversation thread where I sent the photos and I received the replies. Wanted to point out that I can also reply or send a voice message. So I hit the little plus symbol here next to the reply field, and it brings up my options. I could send a tracking link, which we talked about. I can send a voice message, a photo, or I can open the camera and take a new photo. So when I click on voice, it brings up the voice recording, and each of my voice messages can be up to 30 seconds long, and all I have to do is tap and start my recording. Hey guys, great to hear from you while I was out on the hike. Thanks for all your responses. Had a great time. And then I save my voice message, and then I can send that. I'm going to cancel it just so I don't confuse anyone because I'm not educating it right now. Another feature that we want to look at is the ability to send a text message. A lot of people have experience with their smartphones for quickly typing text messages. The GPSMAP H1i Plus now has a touchscreen, which allows us to type in a message with the keyboard, and we've added some features like autocorrect and suggested words and autocomplete. So if I start typing, having a great time, and I leave out the I, and I hit space, it autocorrects to having, and then it actually suggests what the next word might be, having a, and it says good, but I had a great time. So I'm going to type that, and it's going to auto-suggest great and complete it for me. And it even plugged in time. So I can do this to very quickly type in my text message, and we noticed that it corrected some words, it suggested some words, did a lot of things that will make text entry with the GPSMAP H1i Plus very convenient. Now the GPSMAP H1 also has the same keyboard, but that's used more for adding comments to waypoints and things. All of the inReach features are on the H1i Plus. After I finish typing, I can hit send on that message, and it will go out to all of my friends and family. We've looked at the casual messaging features of the GPSMAP H1i Plus, but we also want to look at some of the safety features. Now, the GPSMAP H1i Plus has an SOS button on the side, and that will allow me to send a message to Garmin Response, and that's our 24/7 staffed International Emergency Response Coordination Center. And when I press that SOS button, all I do is press and hold the button, and it will bring up this 20-second countdown timer. And I'm going to cancel that just so we don't call a helicopter here to the building. But if I had allowed that countdown timer to go all the way through, it would have opened an SOS conversation with Garmin Response. They would receive my message, and they would reply to me to let me know that they had received it, and they might ask for additional details, but they certainly start that rescue. The GPSMAP H1i Plus with its camera and microphone and speaker allow me to also send them a photo of whatever emergency I might be experiencing, or to record a voice message and send that to them. They have the ability to reply and work with me, and they would be present for the duration of the rescue, and we would use that conversation thread, the SOS conversation thread, to share details about emergency response, estimated time of arrival, a lot of things that really help give hope and peace of mind during that emergency. Thanks for sticking around and taking a deep dive with me today through the new GPSMAP H1 and H1i Plus premium GPS handhelds. For more information on this and other devices, be sure to head on over to Garmin.com.